Okay, so welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Balls podcast. The weekly snooker podcast comes out on Wednesdays. I'm your host, Michael Wright, Roto74, and I'll let my co-host introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lee. It's good to be here.
And our guest today is somebody who we've been trying to get on for a bit and really chuffed that he's able to join us now. And it's Elliot Slessor. So, hi, Elliot.
Hey, bud, you all right?
Nice one. Thanks for doing this. And also with a little bit of a twist, we kind of get 2 for 1 today. We didn't realize that was possible, but we've got another player who's driving the car that Elliot's in. So I don't know. We'll try not to distract you, Gary, but Gary Wilson's here too.
Distractors. Oh, whoa. See that?
It's going to turn into what is it? Peter Kay's carpool, is it? Is that the thing?
Nah, it could be.
Carpool karaoke.
Let's just hope we get right the way through it and we don't have any incidents.
No traffic would be good.
I'm going to need to get some insurance for these podcasts, I think. I didn't realize that was a thing. Right, so Elliot, I mean, when we started this podcast, we were in pre-season, so we were always kind of talking a lot about COVID in the last season. But the nice thing about these episodes now is we're able to kind of look at the first few events, and you've obviously had quite a lively start with the Championship League, the British Open, and you've had your Northern Ireland qualifier as well. How do you look back? How do you feel about the first few events of the season for you?
They went, as I say, mixed results. The Championship League probably couldn't have went any worse, to be honest. I struggled with the tables quite badly. I had no confidence from there, but I knew I'd been playing decent in practice for a while. So I got to the British Open and I didn't feel too bad because obviously I've been playing decent in practice as well. I knew I wasn't playing too badly. I know I just kind of got caught out by conditions more than anything. And I went into the British Open kind of with a bit of confidence, thinking I fancied a run.
And what about the format? I mean, did you'd obviously played the short format in the Championship League, but it was different in that you always played the 4 frames if you needed to get that far, and you could have draws and it was a group, but obviously a bit cutthroat in the British Open. Did that appeal to you in terms of the shorter format?
It's a funny one because them Championship Leagues, it's like, I know everyone says they're good match practice and stuff like that, but you lose one game and you can still get through. I prefer the more cutthroat. If you lose, go home, or win, you get through. I'm not kind of just my opinion, but I'm not really a fan of like group stages and things like that, having to rely on other results. I like to either win by getting my own results or lose and go home. But the short format, if I'm honest, I'm not the biggest of fans of them. I would rather play over the distance. Like I prefer playing the 19s and stuff like that. But as I say, I don't run World Snooker, so whatever they put on, we've kind of got to play in and are grateful to try and get some money out of.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of people were looking at the Championship League as, I guess it's the first one of the season and it's snooker's back and there's a bit of TV coverage. It was nice hearing kind of players coming on and doing the commentary and a bit more of the punditry. I mean, it sounds like there was a lot around the game that we got to know more players in a way. Did you see it as something that was harder to get up for because you knew it was a group, it wasn't as cutthroat? Is there something around your own approach to it, do you think?
For me, possibly. As I say, it doesn't feel like a real tournament to me because it's not really cutthroat enough. You kind of needing a little bit of luck. If you get a draw here, you need people to get a draw there. And I've just never really done well in them formats, and I probably don't think it's a coincidence. I probably give them too much and just get it out the way instead of being like well, it's a bit of match practice. I never see any game of snooker as a bit of match practice, any tournament. I just don't like it. I don't like just sitting around and waiting on people to come on and off. It's stoppy-starty, but as I say, it's just the winner of it's obviously going to be happy that it's on. It may be because I don't think it's. I'm not like naive enough to say that. like, even if I won the whole thing, I would still say it's not really my forte of competition. I don't really look forward to that one. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I don't know, Lee, you're interested kind of looking at some of the results in the British Open as well, that there's some real standout ties there, isn't there?
Yeah, you had a great run in the British Open, Elliot, and obviously you had in round 3 you had Judd, who you beat 3-2, and then Ali Carter in the next round, and Ali made a 1-4-7, and it looked to me that you were scoring really heavy and playing really well in that event.
As I say, it's a funny one. I've never had this feeling before, but once I'd won in the last 16 against Ali, I literally says to me granddad, I says, I'm going to win this. He goes, well, just one game at a time. I just had that feeling. I was going to win it. I was playing well enough. I thought it would take maybe it's a bad run of the ball or somebody to play very, very well to beat us. Because even though I didn't feel I was playing the best I could play, I was playing very solid. Like, even if I didn't play great, my safety was good and I was getting in and I was generally scoring pretty heavy. I knew it would kind of take a very good performance to beat us. Honest to God, I felt full faith that I was going to win it.
And of course, you played Gary in the semi-finals, and I think it did take a special performance to beat you from Gary. I think he had a couple of 50s in the last couple of frames to beat you. So, yeah, how was that game for you?
As I say, I think people are making more of it than what it was to me anyway. It was just the way I treated on that day is it's just another game. I didn't care who it was. I wanted to be in the final, and I didn't want anybody to kind of take that off us because I hadn't been there before. And I felt like I was going to win the comp. I really did. So it was just another stepping stone in the way, I thought. So just get it over and done with. Other people are going, oh, well, how does it feel? It is different. Obviously, I came out on the losing side. And normally where, obviously, I was devastated, I still rang him up on the way home when I was driving home and wished him the best because I did want him to win it. Do you know what I mean? If I didn't win it, I wanted him to win it, which is strange because people somehow think that because he wins or I win that we don't want each other to win. And we've been through the struggle together, the really bad struggle where we've got about £4 in my pocket each and we're going to pro-ams and splitting money. And trying to get £50 to our name each. Do you know what I mean? So, as I say, we've both been through the struggle, and if one won, I don't think there'd be anybody happier for the other person than whoever lost. Do you know what I mean?
And did you like the format of the British Open? Obviously, you touched on that maybe the quicker races you're not as keen on, but did you like the open draw format?
I didn't mind the open draw format, to be honest. I thought that was a little bit different to having it in a proper event because we only normally have it in the shootout. The formats are a little bit short, if I'm honest. It's very, very cutthroat, but I prefer the longer matches, but I can see why people find it appealing. And as I say, if you win it for £100,000, it's a very quick tournament and a quick way to get your money's worth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seemed to suit you, though. I mean, do you feel that your style of game, does that lend itself to that cutthroat? I mean, I can't remember who said it, but somebody on the TV before your game was saying something around that you like to get in at people. You're not worried about reputation. You're quite gutsy player, really. And I wondered whether that played to your advantage because it just seems as if you don't worry too much about who you're playing.
Not really, because I've kind of beat the big names over the distance as well. It's not like I've just beat them over best of sevens. I've beat them over nines. I've beat them over 11s.
Yeah.
The only ones I haven't really beat them in is like the Crucible over a 19, but I've beat them over a steady distance. So I don't think the distance kind of comes into play, but the crowd definitely benefited me, I would say. Definitely, 100%.
Right.
I feel like I'm a big occasion player and I enjoyed having the crowd there, having some atmosphere. Obviously, I were at Milton Keynes last year, and as good as it was to have tournaments on, I had no buzz all season when you're waiting up to have breakfast, and it just felt like practice games, to be honest, and you keep having to try and remind yourself what you're playing for. But I just could never get the spark. The only time I thought I might have got it was I played O'Sullivan in the Irish in second or third round, I can't remember. And I thought I would get that buzz for playing, and it still wasn't there. Like, it was very, very strange sort of scenario. The buzz was always there because the people were there. I don't think people realise how important the fans are, because sport is nothing without the fans for me. Like, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And it does really seem, Elliot, that you are a big occasion player, because you mentioned beating O'Sullivan in the Northern Ireland Open, and then the next season you beat him again in the China Open. You beat him 6-2. O'Sullivan making a 1-4-7 in that event. So it does come across that you're a big occasion player.
As I say, I'm not frightened to play anybody. I know if I turn up and I play my game good enough on the day, I can win. I'm kind of not one of these ones frightened. I respect the top players. Obviously, of course I do. They're doing everything that I want to do, but I'm not frightened of them. Like, I know if I turn up and I play my game, I can quite easily win, whether they have an off day or I perform really well and they don't play so great. I've been on both ends. I've had some hidings off the top players. Do you know what I mean? I've had some good hidings, but that's part and parcel. They're the best players in the world. What are you scared of? Getting bashed up by a top player. You'll not be the first. You certainly won't be the last. That's the way I see it. So just go and take the game to them. Show a bit of backbone and stand up to them. Because if you show them any weakness, they'll just walk all over you. That's what they do. They see any weakness in your game and you. The sounds went off.
Yeah, you've come back. I think it just went for a second. Can you hear us? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? You seem to play with no pressure in a way, and maybe that's the bit. You know, we've talked to quite a number of players now who talk a lot about the mental side of the game. I mean, is that something around? Is that something you can work on, or is that just your natural being? Because you seem quite chilled, but then when you're at the table, there's an intensity around you as well, isn't there?
No, definitely. If you ask around, and I'm truthful enough to tell you this, like, my attitude has generally been very, very poor for a very, very long time. But not in the sense that I'm doing it to affect other players. I'm just so generally used to be angry at myself, angry at what I'm performing at, because I know what I'm capable of. But I've been working with Peter Ebdon for a little bit now since the Championship League. I phoned him up and I said, "You got any advice?" And we've just been doing little bits and bobs and trying to get my confidence back and just become mentally stronger, because I feel like I've got most of the parts of the jigsaw. I can score, I can play safe, I've got plenty bottle, I can pot long balls, but the mentality was never there. I was too in and out and too emotionally invested in every frame and every match. If I miss a ball, it's like the confidence would just drain through my body, and I would take that into my next shot, and then the next one, and then the next one. Then before you know it, I've just sabotaged the whole game, and I'm ready for home. Like,
yeah. And so there were no signs of that in the British Open. So if you, again, you know, kind of Lee was mentioning the results there, and you know, a lot of matches. I mean, it was 6 matches in all, and won 5 of them very nearly with the last one as well. Was part of that a result of the work with Peter Ebdon then, just to kind of focus in on where you're at, zone in, have faith in yourself? Did you feel any of the benefit of that during the British Open?
100%. I felt like a different player. I felt like a different player since I kind of started talking to him and doing what he's telling us to do. I just feel so much more mentally stronger. I had some bad situations in that tournament where, like the Yulong game, I was 1-0 up. I didn't see a ball to go 3-1 down, and he's in on 40 odd again. And then I've made a big clearance. I made a big clearance against Ali as well. I've won the first frame against Ali. I've made 1 visit. Then he's made a maximum, and then he's in on 50 and missed a ball. And I've made a massive clearance. I've cleared with 70 odd. I think I got 2 balls off the cushions as well. Like a big clearance to kind of take all the momentum off him. And you know yourself, like them sort of formats when they're so short, if you can pinch the momentum, it's huge. Like,
and that must give you a lot of confidence going forward. You know, knowing that you've been left a clearance and you take that out must give you a lot of confidence for your matches going forward. Yeah.
As I say, I'm generally one of them. If I get a chance, I'll not bottle it. I'm not really a bottler. Like, don't get us wrong, we've all twitched balls. We all feel pressure, but I think some twitch balls more than others. And normally, my bottle's quite good under pressure. Like, I've won big deciders before and took me chance when it's game and deciders and stuff. So that's probably the part.
Yeah, so I guess the other bit. Sorry, we're pausing a little bit occasionally just because of the reception, but we can piece this together anyway. It's fine. We can edit it if we need to. But yeah, I mean, I suppose the bit I'm fascinated in. I mean, Lee's a decent player, so knows a bit more and probably doesn't need to ask you this, whereas I'm not. I mean, I'm better on the PlayStation than in reality. But and one, I often wonder when you sat there, especially like with that one with Ali Carter, he's hit the maximum, he's still going. You sat there for a long time, aren't you? You sat there and you could screw your head in. You could just be thinking of all sorts of things and getting fed up, but to then jump up and then clear from there and to get yourself back in. What did you do? What did you think? How did you handle that time sat down just watching?
As I say, he made the max off his own back. It wasn't like as if I presented him with a chance. I didn't give him a chance. He made it himself. He potted a good long ball and then made a very, very good maximum. As I say, I've seen the footage at the end, and I was the first to clap him and be happy for him. It was a great max. Yeah. But once that's finished, and I've shook his hand and congratulated him, next frame, a maximum or a century or whatever, a big break only wins you one frame, and you still needed to get to 3. So it didn't really bother us that he'd made a maximum. The same as when kind of Ronnie done it in China against us. It's just one frame. I think people might, if you a little bit less experience, you got less experience, I would say you'd probably panic a little bit more and go, right, well, he's just about to take the game off us. But I know enough now to know that every frame's kind of different, and that you can make a max one frame and then miss 3 easy balls the next frame. It's just as how hard the game is.
And how do you feel that maybe affects, obviously Ali and Ronnie, they've got a lot of experience, so they'll probably just go on to the next frame. But do you think with some of the guys, it maybe affect them making a maximum, going forward in the match?
Potentially. As I say, I think it depends what sort of psychological process you're going through in your chair. What you're telling yourself is quite important.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about that they've just made a max, well, you're probably then going to be worried the next frame, the frame after, and they're just going to take the game by the scruff of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can dig your heels in and go, it's one frame, I might get a chance the next frame. My chance to take it back the next frame and make one visit of my own. Because whether it's a 75 break or a 145 break, it's still taking the frame, still taking one frame, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic comeback, and obviously you'd already beaten Judd Trump by that point, and there would have been a lot of attention on that game. I mean that alone must have given you a big booster as well. I'm sure all the games do, but you must use some of the energy out of those kind of wins.
In the Judd game, because I had to dig deep. I didn't play great that game. We both didn't play great. The table was playing quite tough as well, which I think Judd said. And it was just a dogfight, really. It was a dogfight of kind of who wanted it more and little bits and bobs here. And it was just a scrappy, horrible game, but I was willing to stand there all day and fight for every ball. Barry might have kind of wanted to be that little bit more impatient, kind of go for a few more balls, which, do you know what I mean? He's a world champion. He's won everything there is to win. The British Open probably doesn't mean as much to him as it does to me this second, do you know what I mean? So... I think I was maybe just a little bit more patient at the end, and I think that might be in the telling tale, really.
Yeah, Lee, you talk about patience a lot, don't you? I mean, me and Lee know each other really, and this is why the podcast came about, just through the Snooker 19 PlayStation game. That's really what's brought a lot of us together, and we've never even met. I mean, it's all through lockdown and everything else. But you say that even there, don't you, Lee, really? This whole thing about patience and kind of having that rounded approach to the game and not just being about smashing balls up, opening the pack and ripping somebody apart, isn't it?
Well, that's right. I mean, obviously, at Elliot and Gary's level, I think it's even more key to have a lot of patience and, work for your chances, because you obviously get less opportunities. So unless you're patient, you're just going to stick up chances.
That's exactly right, exactly right. if you look at all the serial winners now, it's not as if they've got any weaknesses at all. If they play bad, their B game's very, very solid to beat as well. Their safety's good. Their long game might be on that day, but they all still generally score even when they're not playing well. And that's the sort of game I try and play. Like, I feel like I play a match game. I try and play an all-round game. I'm not just like a crash bang wallop long ball player and make 100 every visit. And but then the frames that I lose, I've missed 5 sloppy balls. I'm kind of not really that sort of player. I think I always generally play to some sort of level, like, and play a match game. If I'm not playing well, I can kind of scrap and fight along and dig in. And do you know what I mean? Like, some players aren't built like that. If you look at some of the talents like Tepchaya's unbelievable on the eye, so much talent, but he's not a dogfighter, is he? If it's a scrappy game, you fancy most people to generally beat him. It's at top level. But if it's an open kind of game, he can go toe to toe with anybody because he is that talented.
Do you really enjoy a dogfight, Elliot? Can you really get into that, or?
No, I don't. Being honest, I don't think anybody enjoys a dogfight. But sometimes the balls don't split, and some days you don't play well. I think the difference, kind of now with what I'm doing is, I'm more patient to stand there and fight and try everything to win instead of going, well, I'm just not there the day, and not chucking the towel in, but it's hard to explain. Not chucking the towel in, but so disheartened of how you've performed, kind of not trying 150%. Do you know what I mean? So now I'm willing, even if I'm playing 10%, to just dig and fight and do anything I can to keep staying in the game, and I might find something. Because the longer the game goes on, you might find something.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're just spreading chances to everybody, you're going to get beat very quick, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, we did, like, put some words out on social media just about the fact you were coming on. And one question we did get was a bit more about your practicing. And we got a question from, and the Twitter handle, it's and it reads as Asun Sancho. I think it's one of our Spanish listeners. And she supports us a lot, actually. She's in contact a lot. But she was wondering whether you were practicing more at the table now, because she just reflected, looking at the British Open, that you just looked in a lot better shape than last season. And you've kind of covered it a bit, maybe, with the thing about getting up for last season, or, all the issues around Milton Keynes, no crowd and all the rest of it. But is any of this about more discipline or more work at the practice table as well?
No, probably slightly less. Since I've had my daughter, I've got obviously other commitments. I would say I'm practicing smarter, if that makes any sense. I'm not just in there for 6 hours messing around or on my phone, or like, I kind of try and make that time count, because I've got commitments obviously outside with my daughter and stuff like that. So, and also stuff off the table, trying to just learn bits and bobs, try and get slightly fitter, eat better, just trying to add them little half percentages, what'll hopefully make all the difference. But nah, I wouldn't say I'm playing more now than I did last season. Probably around the same or slightly less, if anything. Yeah.
And I guess when we reflect on that game with Gary, I mean, you're both in the car, and how you talk about it in this situation. But I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing you play quite a bit anyway, or away from the tournaments, you've been playing a bit anyway over the years, and know each other's games fairly well.
Yeah, we practice together most days. If we're both in the club, we generally play most days. I have a few sets and stuff.
So was there anything, this is a weird question, and it's don't get the chance to ask us very often, because the mates off the table and stuff, but was there anything that surprised you about Gary's game when you played each other in the semi-final, or was it pretty much how you expected?
Not really, because as I say, we both know each other's games inside out. Like, people know how good a player Gary Wilson is, but they don't know from my perspective of how good a player he is, and probably the same with me. Right. People think that I might be a decent player, but they don't see what sometimes he sees. Like the level we can both play to. So no, not really. I know he made in my opinion, the clearance he made, it's 2-0 and 40 odd behind. I remember that feeling like a big changing point at the time. Yeah. Because I played a shot to nothing, and left the red over the hole. I got that close, I've left it over the hole, and he's made a great clearance where we were talking about it before, and I felt the same. I felt if he didn't clear there and I got another one and went 3-0, the match was over. And he stepped up and made a very, very good break, like, made it himself. So, no complaints.
So touching on your practice, Elliot, you said that you play sets. So it's not just frame after frame. What would your sets be, like best of sevens?
Well, we used to play more 19s, didn't we? Like, we used to play more 19s, but we generally now kind of practice whatever the next comp's going to be. So say the next one's best of 7, we'll do that. But generally, I would say World, we'll kind of write everything off and just play 19s before the World. Yeah,
and would you do any solo practice, or is it just match?
Like, I'm not a big solo practicer. I kind of hate playing on my own. I'm not one of them. I would rather play somebody. I find my best results come when I'm playing people like 4, 5, sometimes 6 days a week, and then playing bits and bobs on my own. I like about before COVID and stuff. I used to travel quite regular. I used to be obviously up in Scotland quite a lot, playing John Higgins, McGill, and Maguire, and testing yourself kind of against the elite of the elite and seeing where you are. I find it hard work playing on my own. Being honest, I find it quite monotonous and quite boring. Obviously, if you've got stuff to work on and say your cue ball control isn't what you think it needs to be, or your long game isn't as great as it has been, then that's fair enough. Maybe have a couple of days on that, but then you've got to put that into practice and play somebody, because you can pot them as much as you want playing on your own when there's nobody to step in if you miss. And I think that's when it counts. So that's what the way I try and do it is I'll work on what I need to work and then go and try it out against people for 4 or 5 days. Then if I find any weaknesses I think are there, try and go and practice them, and then off we go again.
And I guess practicing with Gary and vice versa, I take it, obviously I don't know if you've went down the road of coaches or anything, but if you guys have got problems, can you spot them? And do you help each other out?
I kind of like I've kind of got off the technical. I got off the technical train. We call it the technical train. I got off the technical train about 3 or 4 years ago, and I've kind of stuck to something, and I'm kind of sound technically, I think. Where
I'm desperate to get off. I can't get off at the
minute. He's tried every different cue action you can possibly think of in the club.
Yeah.
But I know myself. It's a dangerous place to be in when you keep chopping and changing. You've kind of got to stick to something and kind of hold on in there, because when the year I was messing around with cue actions, I think I earned something like $8,000. I was absolutely diabolical. I didn't know what I was doing, and changing after changing. I just I made a conscious effort the season after to just reset everything, and kind of play more on an instinct with less thoughts, because I was absolutely cabbaged by the end. I didn't know what I was doing. And
just a couple of days ago, I cracked it though, didn't I? For the 100th time.
He's had his 1,040th cue action of the month. 2 days ago, he thinks he's cracked it. He'll have a different one in another 3 days, so just give it time.
I must admit, watching the final, and this is more about Gary, that what really impressed me was just the safety play. Actually, I just thought fantastic safety play, and just the discipline, the patience. I was really rooting for you, but just some of that was.
You've got to rely on something when the game's not there, haven't you? And that's just, I guess, years of experience. But just digging in, to put it simply. That's all that is, isn't it? You've got to do that sometimes.
Lee, are you going to ask Gary, or am I going to ask Gary about the post-match interview, or should we leave that alone completely?
Yeah, well, you're a little bit braver than me, so I'll let you ask that.
Still waiting for the question.
Still waiting for the question. I'm going to get you some T-shirts with that on there, Gary.
Yeah.
Perfect. That'll be good. I never thought of that. A bit of merchandise.
Make sure they're children's sizes. He felt like a boogie's pen.
Talking of children, Elliot, you mentioned, you're your dad now, you've got a little one, and your priorities are perhaps a little bit different. Does that change your outlook on what you're doing?
Definitely. I would say normally I would dwell more when it was kind of just me and me missus. I would dwell a lot longer. The losses, they always hurt, but they would hurt for longer. Like when you go home, even if you've had a bad day at work, I assume, and you come home and you see the little one's face and they're smiling and they want to give you a cuddle and want you to play and stuff, you kind of can't mope too long. Don't get us wrong, I still mope, but a lot of me moping's kind of done in the car on the way home. Especially with the drives we've got these days. We've got about 3 or 4 hours ago, haven't we? So I've generally got about 3 or 4 hours to get it out of my system, and normally it's done by then.
When the road's closed.
So normally it's done by then. But as I say, it's went from doing it all kind of for me to not just for me anymore. Like, I'm trying to provide a decent future for my daughter. Do you know what I mean? That's more important than anything.
Yeah, we've heard that from a few players, I think, Lee, haven't we? That it really, I think Michael Hart, he said he's a lot more chilled than he used to be. He used to be kind of a bit more uptight about stuff, and it's kind of chilled him out a bit. He seems to have a more Zen-like presence now. And even Martin O'Donnell the other day, which hasn't come out yet, but I mean, Martin talked about that as well, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it certainly grounds you, and it puts a lot of things in perspective.
100%. As I say, normally if I've done half decent in a tournament or whatever, the first thing we'll do is go to the toy shop and see a little face. Like, that half the time feels better than any match you've won for any money. Just seeing the little faces light up when you come home and stuff. It's absolutely different gravy. Like,
I'll tell you what, Elliot, that guy next to you in the car, if it hadn't been for him, you'd have had a lot more toys to give your little one, wouldn't you? Can you imagine that he's not even thought about that, has he?
He's already got enough toys, and he's a godfather as well. He's actually stole from his old goddaughter's mouth. Absolute disgrace of a man.
Elliot,
disgrace of a man.
He just chucks him out the pram, Elliot, don't you?
Absolute disgrace, robbing off his goddaughter.
I was going to say, when you go to that toy shop, does she get any toys as well?
You best buy her some nice Christmas presents with the money I'm donating.
That's the best thing about the snooker, isn't it? You know exactly what people are earning. It's kind of one of those. Imagine if you had that in every profession, that every single person you meet, you find out what they earned in the last week or the last month or whatever.
It's quite funny though, because everybody thinks you're a multi-millionaire. They don't think tax exists.
Yeah.
Or expenses.
Or 2.5.
It's madness. No, exactly. They don't think you're a multi-millionaire.
Dear. We mentioned the snooker 19. I don't know. I know Gary's a gamer. I don't know, Elliot, if we might not have as much time now, but are you into the gaming side of things, or have you seen the snooker 19 game?
Nah, I'd be lying if I said I'd even had a shot on the game. I'm not really a gaming sort of person. I used to play bits of FIFA with my mates and stuff like that, but I've never been massively into games or out like that. Like, so I've seen obviously the game, and you get people sending you stuff through on Instagram, like pictures of them playing as you and stuff like that. But no, I've never played on it or had a shot.
You've not had anybody send you a video of you playing Gary again on snooker 19? You haven't had that one?
No, not yet. No, not yet.
Yeah,
there was I don't know if you've seen it, Afterlife.
Oh yeah.
Seen Afterlife with Ricky Gervais in? Well, there was an actor in that, and he was on Twitter. My Twitter went ballistic this day, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Well, this actor had been playing as me. Don't ask us why, because I've absolutely no idea. But he'd started a career season mode as me. So I've got all these gamer people in the inboxes, absolutely peppering. Will you come and watch a game? Will you come and do it? Well, I'm not the greatest on technology to start with, as you've probably realised after this morning's performance. But honestly, they're going, come in, watch this. I was like, I haven't even a clue how to get on this thing. Like Twitch. They're going, it's on Twitch. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't even know what Twitch was.
When you played that,
didn't have a clue what it was.
Which one was it? Do you remember which actor it was?
I think it was the fella with the beard with the glasses. weird looking
Oh,
fella.
right.
I think it was him. Different
Is
quarters
it Brian
on
or
that, by the
something?
way. But I think it
Brian
was
or
him.
something his name, isn't it? Brian Gittins or whatever you call him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think it was him. Him with a beard and glasses.
Is that the postman?
I think it might have been him with a big beard.
He's classic.
I think it was him.
Oh, the one with the post is Joe Wilkinson, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
The post is Joe Wilkinson, and then I think it's the other guy's the creepy
I'm
one,
sure.
isn't he?
I'm sure it was the fella with the big beard.
I think the postman
glasses.
has a beard now, I think.
I can't mind. I haven't seen it in a while. But he was playing as me on a career season mode. No idea.
How did he get on? Did he do all right?
I think he was winning the odd game here and the odd game there. Like, it went mad for a bit, like during COVID and that. And then I think he must have just sacked it off, like, because he never really messages us anymore. Or says he's playing. So he either got beat too much and sacked it off, or he thought, I'm not playing as him anymore, he's useless.
He's maybe playing as Gary now.
Aye, maybe he's...
Aye, he'll not play as me. You'd be sick of seeing our two baldy heads shining in his face
right,
if you want to.
Oh, brilliant. So, have you seen the likeness? I mean, I always ask the players, have you seen your likeness on the game as well? Are you happy with what they've done with you?
I think mine's quite easy. You just go for a pale-faced fella with a baldy head. You can't really go wrong, can you?
How can you be happy with his face on there?
It just is what it is, isn't it? Can't be blessed in all ways. Little fish are sweet, so they say.
Oh, okay. Lee, I think we're probably close to the time of talking about our kind of end of episode closing thing, but we talk a little bit about we have a thing we've just shoved in, really, is a bit of a quick fire round. Call it clearing the colours, and it's a chance just to ask you some quick questions. It's the same ones we ask everybody. So if you kind of entertain us on this bit and just go with it with us, it'd be interesting to see what your answers are.
No problem.
So the first one for the yellow then, so we're clearing the colours. You can say who you want on this one, despite the fact you've got a fellow pro in the car, but who do you think the funniest player on tour is?
The toss-up, there's a couple of funny lads, like Williams is quite funny. I like his sense of humour because he's so dry. That suits me down the ground. He's really, really dry. Like at the end when I seen their interviews and he goes, "What's the question?" And then he went straight after. I'm still waiting for the question to Rob as well. I'd say probably Williams. I just think he's human. He's Mickey taken. He's quite dry.
You didn't see him getting rinsed though, like me, did you? When he said it.
This was funny. I thought he waited for the pause.
Yeah, I'm just not a funny guy. It must be it.
I think he probably came across as funny. We didn't know whether Gary was going to punch somebody or whether he was having a joke.
Yeah.
So that's the yellow. That's the yellow, I think, isn't it? Popped away there. So Mark Williams obviously stands out a bit for the dry sense of humour. Over to you, Lee.
Yeah, green ball, Elliot. What's your favourite venue outside the Crucible?
Tempodrome, Berlin.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it there.
You love the open nature.
For me, when I obviously I didn't really get to experience the Crucible properly the year I got there, but for me, when you're looking at the building, it's like the Crucible on steroids. The one time I qualified for the German, I got the quarters, and it was absolutely bouncing from round one, sellout all the way through. It's crazy how much the Germans obviously like their snooker and stuff like that. And it's really closed environment as well. It's similar to the Crucible, but it's just got so many people. I think it's been 2,500 full. Like it's really good. I loved it there.
Yeah.
Loved it.
They're just a bit far away. The crowd. That's the only thing I would say. They're a little bit far away.
Yeah, we've had a few people say that, haven't we, Lee, about the favourite one. Tempodrome comes up a lot, actually.
Yeah, it's up there, yeah.
I think it's the only place outside of China where you kind of get recognised quite a bit as well. You know, when you're going into restaurants and stuff, like you can even be a couple of miles away from the Tempodrome. I think the full kind of cities involved in that tournament. There's people coming up and asking for interviews and like pictures and stuff. Do you know what I mean? They're really involved, like really good fans over there.
Yeah, especially if that bloke from Afterlife, if you bump into him in Germany as well, that's fun, isn't it?
As I say, season mode mustn't have went very well, so I'll stay well away from him. Like,
Yeah. Do you reflect? I mean, we're kind of going off it a bit, but the China experience then, have you had that and enjoyed it and found it quite different to what you used to then?
I've got to be honest, I struggle. Big style. I'm not the most like adventurous as there is.
You will know about your new food.
I went vegan. I went vegan about 8 days ago now. 8 days ago, so
no more dog for Elliot.
I'm trying more foods, but I'm normally like I stick to the same meals generally all the time. But in China, I've really struggled in the past because I don't know. I think it's just a different palate to what the British are used to. Like, you struggle as well. You take food with you as well.
Everybody struggles. It's just not that the food's not nice, because it is when you go to certain places. But
just a different culture. Completely different culture.
Because even the Chinese food we get over here is really kind of anglicized, isn't it? It's really watered down for us over here, I think, isn't it?
Massively westernized. Like, it's absolutely night and day. When you go over there, you ask any of the other lads, they tell you exactly the same. It is night and day to your local chop suey house around the corner, believe you me.
So you're doing all right with the veganism? So you're 8 days in, you're doing all right so far?
Yeah, as I say, I kind of put on, I'm terrible. I go up and down weight far too much. I've got about 10 different waistcoats of all different sizes. I'm constantly on this yo-yo journey of up 2-3 stone down, like, do you know what I mean? It's just a nightmare. Because I put on weight quite easy, but I take it off quite easy. So it's not the healthiest kind of way to live your life. So I tried obviously becoming vegan and trying eating more cleanly as a living, and I haven't struggled at all as I thought I would. I actually researched it a bit and seen some of the stuff I could eat and try, and I've found it no problem so far. I'm quite enjoying it.
Did Peter Ebdon have any influence in you turning vegan?
He discussed it with us. Like, Peter, if people know Peter, he doesn't try and like force you into doing anything. Yeah, it's maybe something you want to look at, because I told him obviously with the kind of the weight problem, yo-yoing up and down constantly. He's like, if you're yo-yoing in your weight and in your life, how can you expect to get any consistency in what you're doing? Because you're just constantly on this journey of up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's a fair point, in fairness. So I thought I'd have a look. I'd try a day, see what it was like. If I didn't like it, then I would maybe give it 3 or 4 days. And if I didn't like it, I'd kind of go back, and I've no intentions of turning back. It's not like obviously people do it for animal purposes and stuff like that. That's more. It's more like just a healthier way to try and live my life, instead of the diets I normally do, where I'm going to bed hungry. I've lost just over half a stone now in 8 days, and it's not as if I've been starving myself like I normally do. To lose weight.
See the size of him 8 days ago.
It's just simply it's just simply eating better and more cleanly.
Oh, good luck to you. That sounds cool. And we talked about that a bit with Neil Robertson, didn't we, Lee, as well? I think about his veganism as well, and it was almost that extreme, wasn't it? There's a bit around the diet, and then there's a bit about the whole lifestyle. I mean, if you go really far down the route, then it's almost about products and all sorts, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not like that involved. I'm doing it more mainly to benefit myself. Shouldn't really say it, but I'm truthful enough to tell you, it's more beneficial for me than to animals and stuff like that. I'm not doing it for them purposes. I'm doing it just because I'm up and down on a yo-yo journey of weight too often. And hopefully it'll help me snooker become more consistent, as well as my waistline.
No, we'll look forward to seeing how that unfolds over the season. We can thank that as part of the reason. Well, on to the brown. So that was the green. On to the brown. Who do you think? And we've put this on Twitter this morning, actually. Who do you think the player who's most likely to win the World Championship for the first time will be? If that makes sense.
Kyron Wilson for me.
Yeah.
His game's built for the Crucible for me. He's solid in all departments. He's got a great desire to win. Very, very good temperament. He's good in every angle. For me, he's like a junior Selby. He's a junior Selby. He mightn't be as good on the eye as some, but he is so solid And the longer you put the playing over a distance against him, I think the more tournaments what were over a distance, he'd win more, because his game is just suited to distance of how solid he is. In my opinion, I would say Kyron Wilson all day long. Like, I don't think it'll be long either. I don't think it'll be long. I think it'll be, I would definitely say, within a 5-year period, in my opinion. The way he's going, he's had, a final now? 2 or 3 semis and a quarters. So he's been there or thereabouts, hasn't he? Nearly got the T-shirt. He's not far away.
Yeah, he's sort of done his apprenticeship in some ways, hasn't he? He's, as you say, he's so solid and loves the longer matches. You can just keep that going all day.
Well, I was a junior when Kyron was a junior. Like, he was slightly older than me, but obviously we were playing on the same junior tours and stuff like that. And to see the change in his game and his mentality and how well he's done out the game, every credit to him. Every time you see him, he's practicing and he's trying to always do the right things, I think. He's dedicated his life to becoming a better player and a winner. So every credit to him. I can only take me half to him. And hopefully do something along the similar lines myself. I think for all young players, well, I'm not that young anymore, but for, say, young lads coming on the tour, 17, 18 at the minute, Kyron should be one of the sort of people you're looking to, because he struggled at the start. He fell off the tour himself. Neil as well. Neil fell off the tour himself. So you've got to be kind of looking at them players to see the transition of how far that game has come from what they started at. You know, it is possible.
Yeah, again, I mean, it is quite cutthroat, even that, isn't it, in terms of the way the rankings work? And you don't have to be playing terribly badly to be knocked off the tour and have to try and get back on again.
Nah, it's the defending of the money situation, isn't it? If you can't keep backing the good results up, in 2 years' time, you're going to be severely punished. I had a look just before the start of the season, and seeing some of the names what are provisionally outside the 64 is unbelievable. Then looking at some of the players that if they don't get their finger out, they're going to be off the tour. It's frightening, like.
Yeah. Well, that's the Brown Dispatch. So, Kyron Wilson, I think, is a popular choice there. So, Leo, go over to you then for the blue.
Yeah, blue ball. I always find this quite a tricky blue. It's a thin cut. Which actor would you get to play you if there was a film made of your life?
Christ, I'm looking for somebody chubby and bald. Any ideas?
Gary Wilson.
Oh dear me.
In fact, if
and pale as well.
In fact, if it was Mr. Blobby, you'd probably understand Mr. Blobby more than him half the time.
Can I think of who's fairly chubby and bald? Who's an actor?
What about that guy off the Goonies?
No, Chunk's got hair.
Oh, here you go.
Oh no, Sloth. No, Sloth's bigger build than me. Bigger frame. I'm stuck there, to be honest.
I mean, don't take this the right way, because I don't think you've got the same physique. But Matt Lucas or somebody around that kind of way, he's an actor, isn't he?
He'd do me, aye. He's quite funny as well. I like him. We used to watch Little Britain,
I'll give you that one.
So I'll take Matt. He'll do for me, as long as the eyesight stays and I don't have to wear the glasses.
And then when you've done more of the vegan diet and all the things are coming together, then it's more perhaps Jason Statham. That's probably the next stage, isn't it?
He's built like a garden shed. I could be lifting weights for the rest of my life. I'd never get there. Tell you what, you'd take it, wouldn't you?
I would.
Jason Statham, you'd take it.
Can't. You're Matt Lucas and I'll be Jason Statham.
They'd have to get that bed with the striped pajamas for you. Pale, thin, and hungry.
There we go. We got a good insight. There you go. There's some answers for Gary as well. There we go. Pink, the pink's a different one. It's a difficult one because you're quite open with everybody anyway. But are there any interesting personal facts that we might not know that's obvious about you? Anything that you either do, you've done before, we might not know about that you want to share?
He's a pimp on the side.
Not really. I live quite a boring life. As I say, I don't really go out much drinking and out like that. Probably my favourite holiday destination is Turkey. That's something people probably don't know unless you know as well. It's my favourite holiday destination to the places I've been so far.
Yeah, it's a shame about the Turkish tournament, really, isn't it? Having to be called off.
Devastating. As I say, I don't know if you've been to Turkey, but it's a lovely place. Like, and have a tournament there would have been fantastic.
Still
like,
coming in March.
Yeah.
Still on.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll still be on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it'd be nice to get it back in, wouldn't it? And I mean, we get some Turkish fans go to the site and stuff as well. So there's definitely a scene out there, isn't there? Lee, over to you for the crucial match ball then.
Okay, this to clear up earlier. If you wrote an autobiography, what would you call it?
The trier. Because that's what I am. A trier. I try everything. I try my nuts off. Mightn't get anywhere, but I do try. So the trier, that'll do, mate.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good one. What's your? I mean, that's you've dispatched them. The colours are gone. You've done the job. What's your realistic kind of hopes for this season? You've obviously already in a major ranking event got to the semi-final. You've got a taste now for what could be coming. I mean, what's your hope for the season ahead?
As I say, it's always to win a tournament. Like, people might go, "Oh, you're deluded," this, that, and the other. They might think I am. But I know for a fact if I turn up for a week and play my game and things go my way, I can win a tournament. Yeah. So it's always to win a tournament and go from there, really. Yeah,
well, yeah, good luck to you. And obviously, what we didn't cover was that you got through your Northern Ireland qualifier as well. The 4-3 with Ross Muir.
Yeah, it was a tough game as well. He played well. He played well to go 3-1 up. I think he had a chance at 3-1. He had a chance to finish it at 3-1. He missed an easy one, and I nicked that for him. And then I think I made a break off his break off to go 3-all. And then from there, I thought it was kind of mine to lose. I felt like I'd pinched the momentum and kind of dodged the bullet. And he's potted an unbelievable red in the last to kind of have his chance. And he's ended up breaking down positionally. So I was 30 odd down, 30 behind, I think, with 35 on. I've laid a great snooker when he had me in a snooker. Got him behind the black. And then made a good clearance. I made a good clearance kind of under the cosh to pinch it off him. Like, but being honest, I think he deserved to win. Like, he played better than me. Kind of nicked it from under his nose at the end. He played really well the first 4 frames, really. I had no complaints. He comes down quite a bit to practice for me and Wilson, Ross.
Yeah,
I think he's quite underrated. He should definitely be on the tour. Very good player.
Yeah, he's had a lot of problems with his eyes, I believe, over the last few years.
I heard that. The last I heard of that, he played Robertson in the Scottish, didn't he?
Yeah.
He beat Robertson, and then I think he got interviewed saying he'd had problems. So I'm not sure how that is these days, but hopefully he's all right, like, because he's a good lad, Ross, and a good player, like.
Yeah, really good player.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess really, Elliot, all it remains to do is to thank you a lot for your time and to wish you well today when you go to the boxing. I hope it's a good trip out. I hope are you rooting for one of the guys? Is it Warrington? Is it you're saying?
Warrington. As I say, he's a British lad. Always try and follow the Brit lads and hope to do well. So hopefully he'll get his revenge tonight, because obviously it ended in really bad fashion. What happened to him in COVID? So I hope he wins tonight. Like, fingers crossed. Yeah,
good stuff. So yeah, have a good time at Headingley, and Will, just good luck. Thanks for everything to come on. It's been nice chatting to you and Gary at times, but just good luck for the season. I think some of the performances we've seen and gives you hopefully encouragement, and obviously a lot of people will be looking out for you a lot more now, having seen how deep you got into that competition, and really entertaining player to watch. So I guess from me, really, it's just a big thank you and all the very best for the season ahead. Leah, you let you say your goodbyes.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming on, Elliot. It's been great insight and getting to know you a little bit better. And I wish both you and Gary all the best for the season ahead.
No bother. Thanks a lot. Anytime, as I say, cheers for the nice comments and that. And anytime you want us back on, or if you're doing or whatever, I'm always there if you want to chat. So, thanks very much.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Yeah, we'll do it again. It'd be nice to do it late, some point later in the season. Got a bit more to chat about of how it's going.
I need problem.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Actually, Elliot. If you guys get drawn together again in the future, we'll try and get a pre-match chat on. That'd be good.
I need that. He might struggle playing the match if I snap his arm before it, though, might he?
Be like Adam Smith. Is it Adam Smith? He does the one on the boxing where he gets them on before the big fights. Yeah, he could do it that kind of style.
You can get Eddie Hearn's new job, especially if he beats us again, because he'll be getting filled in.
On that note, all the best and thanks again. We'll speak to you again soon.
Watch what you're doing. See you later.